Hey, Eugene here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a lot of follow-up calls. You've seen me call some of my leads using the Ready Mode dialer, which I'll have linked below. And typically what I do is I call through the leads first and try to set up appointments and try to see what kind of interest I can generate, weeding out through the leads that may not be interested and really focusing in on those that are interested. Those that are interested, I either try to do a one-call close, which I have coming up for you in another video, or I set up for a follow-up call. Now, typically, I'm not a huge fan of doing follow-up calls, so the way I present the product, I'm really trying to do that one-call close if I can help it. However, of course, it's up to the person and how comfortable they feel, if they have any questions, any other questions, if I've really done my job in explaining the entire process and how it works. Sometimes people have, most of the time, people have a tendency to want to think about it. Or they may be busy at that time to do an application, or maybe I interrupted them in the middle of their life, which usually happens, and they talk to you for 5-10 minutes. You get a good understanding, a good feel that yes, this is the person that I can help, but maybe a follow-up call is needed. So today I'm actually going to be making my follow-up calls. I'm going to be talking to people that I've talked to in the past, and notice how I call people back. It's actually very similar to how I call my leads back. So you'll notice that whenever I call my leads in the previous videos, I say, hey, this is Eugene giving you a call back. You spoke to my assistant about the information getting in the mail about your Medicare enrollment. That's what I say when I'm calling a lead back. Whenever I call back a person that I've already talked to once, it's very similar, and you'll see in the presentation where I say, hey, this is Eugene giving you a call back. So far, same. You and I spoke about the information that you've been getting in the mail about your Medicare enrollment, and we talked about blah, 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 fill in the blank. We talked about possibly going through all the different companies, or just getting started and educating you with Medicare, or you have a couple questions. Here's what the questions are. So what I do in that situation is introduction is pretty much the same, calling you back. You and I spoke. Here's what we spoke about. And then I look at my notes. I rely on my CRM, which I use Radius, but really the CRM that you use doesn't matter as long as you have the capability of taking notes on it. Some people use a spreadsheet. As long as you can write down what you talked about in the past, which is something that I highly recommend, I then refer to those notes. You and I spoke about blah, 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 whatever it is. And then I try to remind them, and then I just continue on with the process. So what we were going to talk about is, and then I continue to try to engage the person at that moment and have them stop me and say, right now is not a good time. And then you say, okay, yeah, no worries. I'm trying to call to see when would be a good time, and then I try to schedule that appointment. I work a lot of T65 leads, but in these follow-up calls, you'll see a mixture of both T65 and 65 plus, but the process doesn't change very much at all. And so join me as I make those calls. If you like the content, hit the like button on this video. If you want more content like this, which I'll be putting out several videos a week, hit the subscribe button. That little bell icon notifies you the next time that I have a video out. Leave your comments below. If you have questions, please leave them below. I would love to engage with you, and I'd love to answer any questions you have. This is the way that I do work my business. This is the way that I work my leads. There's hundreds of different ways that you can do it, but I really focus on technology, making the calls easy. I don't have to sit there and dial each phone number one by one, and so I focus on technology and incorporate that with just time, energy, talking to as many people as I can. I have the telemarketer program also that I'm going to have linked below of how I generate my own leads for my industry. And if you're needing help talking to people, that is definitely something that I can help you as well. I also have a data company where we specialize in acquiring the folks that we need to be talking to. So whether they're T65 or 65 plus, or maybe you don't do insurance, Medicare insurance, maybe you do life insurance. All that is available on the Data Download Center.com website, which I'll also have linked below. So again, thanks so much for joining me. I hope that you find this information helpful, and let's just dive in and have some phone calls. And so what I'm doing now on this one is I'm studying the notes before I call this person back, so that way I can remind myself of the situation, whatever it was. I made a note here that I heard a lot of grandbabies in the background, and that they said that they have kids that live close to them, and that his wife is a farmer, and so I've already talked to this person, and these are some of the notes that we had talked about of our conversation. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call this person back, and I'm just going to copy and paste the phone number into my system and hope that she picks up the phone. And if she does, then I will try to reset the appointment. It says here that we had a turning 65 appointment already set, and when I called them, they didn't pick up, which happens to me all the time, and that's just why we set so many appointments. So right now it's ringing, and I'm waiting to hear her pick up the phone, and if she doesn't, I'm not going to leave a voicemail. Instead, what I'm going to do is hang up the phone and then call right back. So right now it rang. They didn't pick up the phone, so I hung up, and now I'm going to call one more time. And you've heard people do this before, double, triple dial the people that you're trying to talk to. So still no answer. What I know about these people is that they're farmers, they live out on a ranch. And so I know that middle of the day, they're probably out, especially in the fall, probably out tending to their fields, their crops, their gardens, whatever it is that they're farming, their animals. And so basically what I need to do is set myself a reminder to call them back tonight, maybe when it gets dark around 7 o'clock, and see if I have a better shot of getting them then. So, and I'm just going to continue doing this with all my leads until I can get somebody on the phone. I think I have 10 or 15 callbacks that I need to make, so surely I'm going to have at least one person that's going to pick up the phone.
Hello. Yeah. Hey, this is Eugene giving you a call back. You and I spoke, and I believe with your wife also, about your enrollment into Medicare.
Yeah.
And I was just giving you all a follow-up call. I know it's been a couple weeks now that we've talked. You said that y'all were still looking everything over and that you were waiting for your Medicare card.
Yeah.
Did you get your Medicare card in the mail yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you in the process with all of this so far?
Well, I looked into some of the ones, the cheapest one you said. What was it?
Yeah, we looked at Plan G, which is had the lowest rates. I think it was Manhattan for both you and your wife.
I've heard that Manhattan don't pay out very quickly, though.
Well, they all follow the same rules and laws when it comes to how they pay out. However, remember, because I told you all this before, I'm a broker, so Aetna is the next best option, and they're within a couple of dollars of each other. But they all, and just a reminder, they all do exactly the same thing. So there is no difference as far as benefits, how they pay out, what they pay, because Plan G is really what you're getting, and it doesn't matter from one company to the next. Now, some people, kind of like what you're saying, they feel a little bit more comfortable with like a name brand, if you will, company like an Aetna or Mutual of Omaha, which are bigger companies. But Manhattan, which I've had no issues with whatsoever, and I've been doing this for 12 years, but they all are great companies, but of course it all comes down to what you're comfortable with. But they're all going to do the exact same thing for you.
Yeah. Well, I probably need to go ahead with it.
Okay. Now, I also know that, because when you and I spoke, your wife was there too. Is she usually home in the evenings? Is that typically, or is she home now?
She's home right now.
Okay. Do you all have some time here in a little bit where we can get everything all finalized for you, so that way, because October is just right around the corner.
Yeah.
Maybe I can call you back in about an hour?
She works tonight, though.
What time does she go in?
She'll be resting until she goes in. She said call call back on Friday, probably.
Call back Friday? Okay, so let's do this. I'll call y'all back Friday. Morning or afternoon better for the both of you?
Morning or afternoon? Afternoon.
Afternoon, 3, 5, 7?
3, 5, 7, what time? 7.
Okay, all right, perfect. I like it. So I'll have everything down for 7 o'clock on Friday, and then I'll make sure I answer any other questions that y'all may have, okay?
Okay.
Now, is this your house phone that I'm calling you on, or cell phone?
Yes, it is.
Did you want me to maybe text you a reminder if y'all use text messages?
No.
No? Okay. All right, so if you want to write it down, I got you down for Friday at 7.
Friday at 7, gotcha.
Thank you, sir. Have a good rest of your week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm gonna make my notes really quick. So as you listen to the call, there's some concerns, some questions, some comments that they made, and I had to address every one of them, which again, it's their choice, it's not my choice. So if they're not comfortable with one, like Manhattan, and he seems to have done some of his homework, so he thinks, it really doesn't matter to me which company they go with. So whenever I do talk on Friday with them, which you'll have a recording on that, I am going to ask them, which one did you end up choosing? And that's going to be my close, option A or option B, right? Which in this case there's 3 options, but he didn't even bring up Mutual of Omaha, which there's no reason why they should, because Aetna's, less expensive. But the point is this: it's about them and not about me, and that's some of the things that I've been talking about in my previous videos, which if you haven't watched, I highly suggest you do, where I dive into the entire process. But the appointment is set. I also knew that his wife was part of the decision-making process. So what I could have done is I could have said, okay, let's go ahead and get it done. Let's get it on. Let's figure it all out right now. The reason why I did not do that is because my notes said that they wanted both husband and wife to be there. So I also know that the evenings typically work better for them. So I assumed that the wife was not home and or still working, which she's going into work later today, and she was resting. So I'm trying to be really respectful of both of them, because the last thing I want to do is sign the husband up, get him going, October 1 effective date, get everything, which we got a couple days left, right? But get everything to him, and then the wife comes home and she's mad at him. What did you do? Now, I don't look good to the wife because she might think that I pressured him into it, and it really just turns into a little bit of a messy situation. And you know what? Maybe none of that could happen. Maybe the wife would be thankful that he went ahead and he just took care of it. But I want to be respectful of both of them, and so I'm not pressuring them into making any decision today. I want to see when does it work best for them. So they said Friday 7, which tune in on their next video, or maybe I'll do one in between now and then, but I will have a video this week where I'm going to do that appointment, that presentation, and you'll actually hear me collect some personal information, so that way you see how I do it, and then I'll have a breakdown for you as to why exactly I do what I do and how I do it. So appointment is set. I'm gonna make my notes in my CRM, and then I'm going to add a task in the CRM, which will remind me on Friday about 30 minutes before, and then it will also go into my phone as well. So it's going to go from my CRM to my Google Calendar, and then my Google Calendar syncs up with my iPhone calendar. So I have 3 places that remind me when the appointment is, which is a little bit about how I do it. You may do it a little bit differently. The point is, I have a tendency to sometimes miss appointments, so I need multiple reminders, and that's just, I know myself and how I work, and that's why I do it this way. So one of the things that I typically do is I'll have my morning calls and or my early afternoon, so usually from about 9 until 1. So when you get the best call time is when people are still at home, you can catch them. This morning I went through probably about 15 follow-up calls or so, as well as calling through some of my leads. And out of those 15, not a single person picked up the phone but one, which you just saw in the recording, where we scheduled an appointment to write this Friday. So a couple things that I want to point out about how I do things. Technology, persistence, and then just doing it over and over and over again is typically how I run my agency. So I generate my own leads, and then once my leads have been generated, I call them and I work them using the dialer system. And then once the person had a chance to talk to me, or I had a chance to talk to the person, I then schedule a follow-up call, which is what you just saw. And then after that follow-up call, I'll either write the appointment right there on the spot, or schedule for the best time to then write the application. And so in this case, what you saw in today's video is you saw the second part of my phone call process, if you will, of me working my leads. And so you'll be able to hear the recording of the actual presentation that I'm going to do once I have my follow-up call. I still do it exactly the same way, whether it be a one-call close, a follow-up call, a referral. If I see somebody in person down the street, I'm still going to follow the same process, which you'll see in a later video. I may break it up into multiple pieces because that application part of it takes between 15 to 45 minutes, depending on what kind of questions they may have. And I may break it down into certain parts, so that way it's not all 1 hour long video once it's all said and done. So now it's the evening time. So in the morning, I'll make my calls. I'll stop about 1 o'clock, which is what I was saying before, which is usually the hardest time of day to reach somebody. So between 1 and about 4 or 5 o'clock, I take a break. I go hang out with my family, which is what I did. I went home for a couple hours, and now I'm back at the office. I'm going to make my same follow-up calls that I did earlier. I have about 15 or so that I need to reach. I'm hoping that some of them will be home so that way I can schedule some more calls, either appointments or close them right there on the spot, and or set up another follow-up call. I think I'll reach 1 or 2 more of those people, and then once I've done my follow-up calls, I'll just get back on my dialer and I'll continue calling through my leads to see if maybe I can generate or weed out through those that are not interested in those that are. So just continue on following this process, and you'll see later in the video that it's just persistency, it's time, technology, everything that I have is at my fingertips. I have my 2 monitors, and it just makes it easy for me to step into my office and pick up right where I left off without having to do much work, without shuffling papers, without getting distracted, because got my dialer here, got my CRM there. I know exactly where I left off. All I do is copy and paste the phone number, make my follow-up call, talk to people. And it's just kind of the same thing over and over again.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Eugene giving you a call back. I don't know if you remember, you and I spoke a little while ago about the information you get in the mail about Medicare. I think you were, at the time, you were saying you were in the middle of going through COVID and had some issues with your oxygen and asked for a call back. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Also, I think I requested information to be sent to me in an email.
No, you actually did not. You just said to call back because you were feeling bad.
Okay.
But you've probably been getting a lot of information in the mail.
Yeah,
already.
Been inundated with phone calls, and I just make it a practice that when people call me on the phone, I don't deal with them from the standpoint of giving them my card or information or anything else. If they want to send me some mail, or if they want to do something through email, it's a little bit more secure and a little traceable, and I'll deal with it that way. Otherwise, just tell them up front, I don't want to waste your time.
Sure, and so the call isn't to collect any information or to try to sell you anything. Because you're getting a lot of information, what you're getting in the mail, probably all those emails and all those phone calls. What I was calling about is to actually go over the information that you've been getting. None of that requires you to reveal any personal information.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm open for that.
Because right now, and that's the problem with a lot of these phone calls that you're getting is they're all trying to sell you something, right? And
Yeah.
those companies that are sending you all this stuff in the mail, they're all trying to. The thing with all of that is nobody knows your specific situation, and
Correct.
95% of that stuff is not relevant to you.
I've noticed that in the past on a lot of things. That's true.
Yeah. And so what I do, and if this is something that doesn't suit you, by all means, it's completely okay. But what I do is I specialize in helping people like you go through that information that you're getting in the mail. Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross. I'll explain to you what each one of those are. However, we first have to focus on what Medicare sends you, so that way you understand how Medicare works, how it's relevant to your specific situation, and then I can tell you what to keep and what to throw away when the time comes to it. But
Okay.
I think it's a little premature to be focusing on any one particular company. I think it's more important to actually talk about what Medicare is and how it works, which is the first step of the phone call. Do you have some time later on this week where we can do that?
The best time to do that probably would be Friday, because right now I'm putting in some long hours with a project.
Okay.
And I will be off work on Friday.
Okay. All right. And let me ask you a few questions just so that way I'm prepared for Friday, and then we can set a time. Are you going to continue working, or are you planning on retiring? What's your situation there?
Well, I work as a consultant.
Okay.
So I joke a lot about I retired at 27 because that's what you do when you retire, you become a consultant. But I probably will do something. I'm not a person who can sit around.
Mm-hmm. And so do you currently insure yourself, or do
Yes.
you? Okay, all right. Because that changes, our conversation changes on how Medicare is relevant based on whether or not you get employer coverage, or if you're going to continue working, or if you're planning on retiring, or in your case, if you're self-insuring, you get it. So that gives me enough to work with for Friday. What time is best for you?
Probably, can we do something, say, just right after lunch?
Yes, sir. What time do you have lunch typically?
Typically anywhere from 11:30 to 12:30.
Why don't we shoot for about 1:30?
All right.
And that way, if you get, running late and all that stuff. And so if you have a pen handy, let me give you my information, or I can text it to you if you'd like.
Would you text it to me? Because I'm not at a place to write that down.
Yes, sir. This phone number or a different phone number?
This number's perfect.
Okay. All right. So you'll get a text from an 803 area code, which is my personal cell. As soon as we hang up the phone, I'll give you my information, time for Friday. And then if you have any questions or something comes up, I'm a text message away, so you don't have to bother calling me unless you want to.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you Friday at 1:30.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
So listen to that. So I spoke to him once before. This is a follow-up call. I called him earlier today. So far, this lead, the way I've worked it is, it was generated, and it was actually generated August 3rd. So August 3rd, I spoke to him once. My marketer spoke to him once. August 12th, I finally was able to reach him. So I'm looking at my screen right now. So August 12th at 6:18 p.m., I was able to reach him, and he said that, let me look at my notes, got hit with COVID, his oxygen dropped a lot. He asked for a call back. That time, August 12th, was not a good time to talk. I called him earlier today because I wanted to give him some time to recover. So it's been about 3-4 weeks or so. Maybe like 5 weeks. I call him back, finally able to reach him. Well, in the morning I call him, he does not answer the phone, so I call him back later today, now at 6:37 p.m. I reach him and set an appointment for Friday. Listen to his objection. He said, I want you to mail me something, email me something. Basically, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. And I said, our conversation is not going to be a sales conversation. Kind of like if you do seminars and you invite people in a group setting, the way you make them feel comfortable is you say, leave your checkbooks at home. That's not one of those types of presentations. I want to explain to you how Medicare works. and I want to explain to you how the information you're getting in the mail is relevant to your situation. So no different than if you were to do it face-to-face and in person, no different than how I'm going to do it over the phone. So the appointment is set for 1:30 on Friday after lunch, like he requested. Very low pressure. He had an objection. I overcame that objection. And listen to how his demeanor changed and how his wall started to come down a little bit. I'm going to call him back on Friday. I should have that recording for you as well. And if he's not available at 1:30, that's completely okay. He's super, super busy. And he's going to have my cell phone number, which I'm going to text him right now. And if 1:30 doesn't work or he has to push it, now I'm just a text message away. He does not have to inconvenience himself by picking up the phone and calling me. And at the same time, if, let's say, he can't make it, that block at 1:30 is not set. It's not going to be ruined because I'm available to him for him to reschedule if he needs it. So I'm going to continue making my follow-up calls, and then I'm going to get on the phone and call some of my newer leads that were generated. And that's basically what I do is I call my new leads, I call my follow-ups, I schedule my appointments, I write the deals, and then it's just doing it over and over again. I used my dialer ready mode to call him, and then I use my CRM to look at my notes to see what the conversation was about. I reminded him of my conversation with him, and I was able to do that because my notes are right there in front of me. So I'm going to continue doing this. If you like this kind of if you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions or if you have something that you want to say. I'd love to hear your feedback. If there was something different that you would have done, I would love to learn from you as well. If you like this kind of content, subscribe, hit that little bell icon. I'm going to be putting out more and more content like this where we're going to talk about how I run my business. You're going to watch me run my business. You're going to listen to me make phone calls. You'll listen to me make mistakes, which you've seen in the past. You'll see me learn from my mistakes. You'll see me set appointments, write applications. And this is what really the channel is going to be about. There's plenty of information out there where you can learn how to sell. This is going to be about watching how I actually do sell. So hope to see you on the next video. Thank you so much for participating, and hope you have a good rest of your day.